What's up? BigHerc916. Positivity, motivation, never settle for average. You know how we do it over here. I was having a conversation with a friend of mine yesterday, and we were talking about how can you protect your children and the people around you, but the children in particular, from all the different things that's out in the world when you're not with them. Well, building a strong moral compass within your children through life lessons, things that create value and perspective, I think is one of the greatest things a child can have in their life as a point of reflection. And I say that based on the things I was taught in my life, and I still managed to make some bad choices. But what saved me, it allowed me to come back to a place where I could better myself, was that I did have some things instilled in me at a very young age that gave me a foundation, a moral compass, what's right, what's wrong, a deep sense of love for God and belief in self. My mom and my grandmother instilled some things in me that I've always held on to. As far as the evils out there in the world and the challenges of what a man goes through, they couldn't provide those things for me because they were women. And from a perspective of a female nature, they didn't know how I would be challenged by those elements. But from a nurturing perspective, my grandmother and my mom, in my darkest moments, I reflected on life lessons that they taught me, things about myself, certain qualities that they had, and it saved my life. Not to mention a spiritual foundation, a belief in God, a belief in something greater than myself, and that there is good and evil. My grandma used to say that God don't like ugly. And there were times I was out in the streets doing things, and that would pop in my head, her voice, her face. And then I would think about, like, if my mom seen me doing these things, what would she say? And those are the moments where I had to really come to terms with what I was doing and whether or not I was ready to accept whatever came from those actions. And there were a lot of times I didn't make the right choices, but I still had those points of reflection. And as I matured, they made more sense. When you're young, you're rebellious, you want to do things your way. You feel you know it all, you feel like you're invincible. But as you mature and you develop consciously, spiritually, things that you entertained in your younger self, you realize that those things they don't really serve a purpose as you get older. The accolades, the conquest. You want to just live life and have purpose, share and be able to help others. It's not about ego. It's not about pride. It's more about happiness and living in the moment. You know, I can't sit here and dwell on my past, just like you can't sit and dwell on yours. The past is the past. It's not existing in the present. You're living right now in the moment, and tomorrow has yet to come. So spend the time with your children, with your loved ones, and rather than engage in frivolous, non-meaningful interaction, engage in some deep conversations. Engage in things that when your child leaves you or your loved ones depart from you, they will think about those conversations. And maybe those conversations will resonate and help them navigate through life. Because the roadmap of life is filled with unforeseen just instances, different things that happen that you don't see coming. I would have never have thought that I was going to spend as much time as I did behind bars or getting into trouble I did based on my upbringing, but I did for whatever reason. And maybe that's so that I can share from actual real life experiences to help others. But that's kind of been my mission, not to try to brag or boast or make it seem like I'm tougher than what I am. I want to save the kids because I've seen what child lockup looks like firsthand. You know, I'm not just talking, you know, out the side of my ass. I talk from experience. I've been to juvenile hall. I've seen kids as young as, you know, 12, 13, 11 locked up. You know, and it's sad, man. You wonder, like, why does a child have to go through that? You know, some of these kids are from group homes. Some of them, you know, have been in the system, you know, their whole life. Maybe they were adopted and abused. But if you have a child, love that child, share with that child, give them more than shelter, clothing, and food. Give them value lessons, give them love, instill principles in them that will help them survive and be able to make good choices. And even if they make a bad choice, at least they had the option to maybe reflect on the good choice that was also there. And it could also save their life later on when they maybe stumble and have to pull themselves up. So, yeah. Protect your kids, protect your family, man. Share value lessons and make better choices as the days go by, man. Subscribe, share the channel. BigHerc916.